And happening today, a vigil in Queens to honor the innocent lives lost as Israel declares war on Hamas, following a weekend of bloodshed.
And among those expected to speak, Queens Borough President Donovan Richards. He joins us now this morning. Sir, thank you so much for being with us. Tell us more about this event.
Well, we unequivocally stand with Israel. You know, we have a very strong bond with Israel, especially in Queens and neighborhoods like Kew Gardens Hills, where we'll be this afternoon. Our heart really goes out to those who lost their lives. Hamas is a terrorist organization that does not stand for peace and justice for the Israelis nor the Palestinians. They are a terrorist organization. We have to call it out, and we want to make sure that we comfort and stand with people in Israel.
Now, do we know if there are any Queens residents working to get out at this point?
Oh, absolutely. I've been texting with friends who are actually in Israel as we speak this morning, who've been sheltered down in bomb shelters as we speak. And I was just texting right before we got in. So it's really a fearful time there where individuals are being kidnapped, brutalized. And if you want people to be sensitive to your cause, this is not the way to do it. You know, if you're saying you're suffering from a humanitarian crisis, the way to do that is not live streaming brutality, kidnapping women and children and murdering them and brutalizing them. So we call for peace in the region, and Israel certainly has a right to defend itself.
Well, that's great that you're doing something today to honor those victims this morning. But let's turn to the subject now that we've been speaking about since last Friday. What a mess with all the flooding, heavy rain, and Queens is an area that got hit pretty hard. Can you talk about the recovery so far?
You know, we didn't get hit as hard as Brooklyn, thank God. But if your basement is underwater, you're not cheering, certainly. No. So there's still a lot of work to be done in terms of infrastructure. You know, we've been drawing down on some of the Biden infrastructure money, and we certainly call on the city to continue to support us with more dollars. We've drawn down close to $2 billion over the course of the last 5 years to really build out the storm sewer system across Queens. But there's still a lot more work that has to be done because now, historically, we would see areas like southern Queens flooding, parts of the Rockaways, and we did see some of that, but where that investment happened, you did not see it during the storm. But now we're getting hit in other parts of the borough, so we need to see a lot more infrastructure money.
Yeah, now prior to the storm, your office was giving out pumps and other various pieces of information to people. What else are you all doing to prepare for these floods? Because they're just, at this point, it just seems like they're going to get worse and worse.
Well, one, we need to think about legalizing basements so we can bring them up to code, and there can be a standard, first of all, so there can be egress. So they're really death traps, and part of the reason we find people renting basements is because of the lack of affordable housing. So we have to deal with the systemic stuff, certainly on the front end. And then I'm working to really build out the storm sewer system. I just signed off on a $60 million project that will happen in Rosedale, a neighborhood that's synonymous with flooding, whose name is synonymous with flooding. So it'll be about 3 projects in that specific community that will help to alleviate the flooding. So I'm really thinking long term, but in the short term, we need the mayor, we need OEM to really have an alert system that really will heighten the public's knowledge of knowing when these catastrophic storms are coming, that we're going to see more often.
You talk about the desperation for funding to make sure that folks can, think of all these folks that have their homes damaged, the small businesses that were hit. How much funding are they getting to rebuild, and what can they do if they need help?
Well, we would hope that the insurance companies would certainly be doing their part, but from my experience, even during Hurricane Sandy, the insurance companies play games around this time. So we really do need federal intervention. And unfortunately, I don't believe that, even though the governor did declare a state of emergency, that will unlock some resources, but I don't believe the Biden administration has certainly come out and said that they're going to actually invest to make sure that these folks will rebuild. So there's still a lot more work to be done on our end, but we're working with neighborhood-based organizations. It's not our first time at the rodeo. So we're working with the city to see how much we can get in terms of resources to help them rebuild.
Okay, so we know communication was an issue with the last storm. What's being done to improve communication between the residents? Some people were saying they didn't get the alerts. We always hear that, but there's got to be a better way of communicating.
Yeah, and I will say just this past weekend, the mayor's office, and thank God we did not see catastrophic storms during this weekend as well. But they did get it right this weekend, right? And I think it's very incumbent upon the administration to get out there and sound the alarm, to do these press conferences. And then everybody has a sign up for Notify NYC. That is a very important app I certainly get the alerts. I live in Rosedale,
Yeah.
so I'm always on high alert. But all of us have a part to playing in this to ensure that our neighbors get the information they need, that cultural competency in terms of diversity, because of the amount of languages in Queens that are spoken, that those neighborhoods are getting the proper outreach.
Just real quickly before we let you go and on a high note, a big birthday celebration going on in
Nearest
Queens.
ever.
Nares. Wow, 194 years.
Amazing.
Woo.
Yes, it is a big year for Queens. I mean, we've certainly had a lot of celebration this summer, certainly between hip hop, between 194 years now celebrating all that we are in this city. The diversity is rich. We're growing beyond measure. And it's one of the reasons, even as we see this immigration crisis upon us, we don't say close the borders in Queens County. We celebrate our diversity. We understand that diversity is our strength and it's what makes us who we are.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in, Borough President. Always appreciate your time.
Thank you, Craig.
Appreciate it. Thank you.